A quick shout out to Jordy. I am not going to pronounce your last name. I have tried and I have failed several times, so I'm not going to pronounce it, Jordy. But welcome to the channel and thank you for subscribing. Greetings, I am Drayhon and welcome back to part 2 of my review of Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. These are the top 5 worst features that I have found within this book. Now, Fizban's as a whole is great, but I have found a couple of oddities, and I thought I would share it with you today. Now, this does not mean that you should not buy the book. It's a great book. Check out the last video I did on the top 10 best features that I have seen in this book, and you'll see why I love it so much. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to my Twitter page, shoot me an email, or find me on Discord, which hopefully I will remember to put links down in the description. If not, you can probably find the links on previous videos. Anyway, let's go ahead and get on with the video. Number 1 is, well, it's very odd. You would think that for a book called Treasury of Dragons, there would be a lot more treasure to find. According to the DM Workshop, they've actually done calculations on how much gold can be found within a chest or within a dragon's hoard. Well, kind of. According to the DM Workshop, a 18.75 foot cubed chest can hold 678,456 gold pieces. And they've calculated that a pile of coins that a great worm dragon can comfortably sleep on or even partially bury itself in, and the calculation is 5,238 foot cube for this bed, by the way, for the volume, is the following in silver pieces and in gold pieces, separately. 68,582,316 silver pieces just for the inner part of this bed. The gold coins that are going to be on top of this is 63,151,926 gold pieces on the top of this pile. And according to DM Workshop, this does not include any of the other treasury items that you would find within a dragon's hoard. Whether that be the golden goblets, paintings, furniture, treasure chests, which that's another, like we calculated earlier, over 600,000 gold pieces for that one chest, and other odd items that you can find inside a treasure hoard. In Fizban's, they did increase the amount of gold that you can find in a dragon's hoard. For the ancient dragon, it is 4,200 copper, 14,000 silver, 210,000 gold, 42,000 platinum, 9 mundane items, which could range from goblets to golden platters, some statue of some kind, furniture, 21 gems, which can vary in price, 11 art objects, whether that be a statue, a painting, an odd tapestry, or whatever. And also 7 magic items. Now, I find this very, very odd because, well, in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, Toril, it's quite easy to get a hold of gold that can fit the DM Workshop's calculations. I mean, that's the whole point of the dwarves. Even the Legends of the Kobolds, that was their duty, to find gold and gems, and that's what they did. They were able to sustain a good-sized hoard for their Dragon Master. The dwarves built cities made out of iron and forged thrones of gold. Even armor made out of gold. So, to say this is not economically sound is a load of baloney. Not to mention, we are missing out on a lot of items that can be found within castles. For an ancient dragon, this is just one castle they have raided. I have been able to find, with my research, that a royal ball can have as many as 48 couples attending it. That's 96 individuals. Each one is going to be using at least one goblet. So that's 96 goblets. We'll push for 100 just to make sure we have plenty for extra guests. And one silver platter can hold 25 of these goblets, so that's a minimum of 4 platters. Not to mention all the silverware that can be found in a royal palace. There are 20 different pieces of silverware that are used for these special dinners. For one person, by the way. So that's roughly 180 different pieces of silverware. Well, not different, but 180 total pieces of silverware. A collection is made out of 12 different art pieces. Not to mention, according to studies, Queen Elizabeth, the current queen of, England, has 300 items of jewelry. This, in Fizban's, is rather low. Insultingly low. A dragon would be insulted by having this little treasure. They might be able to get this much treasure out of a lord's keep, but going to the main citadel and trashing it to a castle? Hello? This is low. Not to mention that dragons would go after multiple castles, not just one. So this needs to be a lot more. And yes, that first calculation by the DM Workshop would actually make sense, with the additions that I have made to it. With all of these other items that a dragon's hoard could contain. I mean, just look at Lord of the Rings and Smaug's hoard. That is what we're looking at for a dragon from Toril. That's their hoard. That would be the minimum for an ancient dragon, is that type of hoard. And it would be easy for those dragons to do so. And guess what? This would not affect the economy of Toril because they are able to replenish their gold stocks real easily. All they have to do is go to the mines and they found gold. It's not hard. The economy is not going to crash whenever gold disappears or reappears centuries later. Because guess what? Raiding a dragon's horde, killing off the dragon and taking its horde, that's normal. Because there are so many different adventuring groups that will do this. Heroes taking down a dragon that is torturing a village. Yes, that dragon's horde's going right back into the village. Not to mention that a lot of these heroes are going to travel to more lands, distributing these coins to other parts of the world, other parts of the continent. And mind you, that not all of these gold coins are going to be the same for every city, for every kingdom. There are probably a mixture of different cities' currencies in these hordes. So you would have the Sword Coast's seal on a few of these coins. I would say a fourth of these coins are probably with the Sword Coast's seal. But others? No. That's going to be another land's treasure. So, yes, a lot of these gold coins are going to be in and out of circulation often. Mainly because of bandits and raiders, dragons. Going back into circulation are going to be these heroes that stop these creatures and claim the gold for themselves and use it in the next town or city or whatever. That's what happens within the world of Dungeons and Dragons. It makes perfect sense. Alright, I've blabbed on long enough about the Horde. Let's go ahead and move on. The next point I want to come across is the lack of dragons in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. We are missing a lot of important dragons. Starting off with the metallic dragons, the Rust, Mithril, Adamantine, Electrum, Chromium, Steel, Iron, Mercury, Cobalt, Orium, and Tungsten. Just in metallics. Chromatics are missing the yellow, orange, brown, gray, and purple varieties. And then we are also missing two undead dragons, the vampire and the zombie. And yes, these dragons are in older editions. I had just learned about the Electrum dragon while making this PowerPoint. These existed. So, why are they not in Fizban's? That's part of my next point. And I did not use this one as an example for that point. But I would like to see some of these other dragons in 5th edition. On my other channel, Theory Break, I had actually made a video for stat blocks for some of these missing metallic dragons. Which I need to redo that video and put it over here, since this is now my Dungeons and Dragons channel. Anyway, enough of that rant. Let's go ahead and move on before I make it longer. Okay. This one's a little crazy, but the lore within Dungeons and Dragons seems to clash with Fizban's, at least from 5th edition. The example I'm going to give you is from Eberron Rising from the Last War and from Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. And you can tell me if you think this is a little confusing, because it confused me a little bit. Okay, so in Eberron Rising from the Last War, you have 3 progenitor dragons: Zibris, Eberron, and Kyber, who created the 13 planes first. You know, the wheel. Kyber is the evil dragon, and she destroys Zibris and fights with Eberron. Eberron is unable to defeat Kyber, according to the story, so Eberron becomes a living prison for Kyber, which creates the world of Eberron, with Kyber being the Underdark, which spawns all the aberrations and evil creatures, and Eberron is the world of the living, the life. Which, that's neat, and I would hate to see what happens when Kyber is able to get released from Eberron, because that sounds like a gigantic dragon. Holy cow, that would be an epic battle to destroy Kyber, but that in turn destroys Eberron. That's a campaign in of itself. But in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, Kyber lives in the 9 Hells, not in the Underdark, and is Tiamat. And Eberron, the world, is just named after the progenitor dragon, and is a 2nd generation derivative of the first world. You see my point here. There's a couple of other lore bits within Fizban's that contradicts established lore within 5th edition. Yes, I get it, they changed things a little bit, but they didn't have to change things so drastically. It confuses a lot of people when there's suddenly a, oh, by the way, this planet-sized dragon never existed. It's just a planet named after a dragon. And this other planet-sized dragon also doesn't exist. This is Tiamat in another disguise. Eh? Alright, before I confuse anybody else or get somebody mad, I'm going to move on to the 4th point. Okay, Draconic Transformation is one of the new spells found in Fizban's Treasury of Dragons, and it's a pretty good spell, but really underwhelming. First and foremost is the fact that it's a concentration spell for up to a minute. You have to concentrate on it, and you have to concentrate on it for a minute only. And you only take on draconic features, essentially becoming a half-dragon. You're basically using the enchantment Form of the Dinosaur from Magic the Gathering, but you gain wings. Yeah. It's a bit underwhelming. When I first looked at this spell, I thought we'd actually be able to transform into a dragon, kind of like a better version of Polymorph. But no. You want to become a dragon, you need to use Polymorph. Or True Polymorph. Those two spells are a little bit better than Draconic Transformation. In fact, you can use Draconic Transformation without using Draconic Transformation just by taking the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer. That is the exact same thing. Other than the Breath Weapon, which you would need to use the spell Dragon Breath. But honestly, that's a whole lot better than this spell. Don't get me wrong, it's still a decent spell. But you have to use it on yourself only, and it only lasts for a minute. While all the features that you get from the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer are permanent. Yeah. I'm confused too. Let's move on to the 5th point. Alright, let's take a look at these two dragons here. The Chromatic Great Worm and the Ancient Dragon Turtle. They make the surrounding structures look tiny. They dwarf them. The city that the Chromatic Dragon is laying waste to with a single fire breath? Or how about these ships coming towards the Ancient Dragon Turtle that it's about to swallow? Guess what? That's not going to happen. Why? Because these two gargantuan beasts, one, don't have a bite that grapples, and also their attacks don't have the siege monster property. So these structures and ships won't get destroyed as easily because they're not strong enough to do so. And not to mention the fact that their bites can't grapple. That's an undersight. Now, true, you can change this yourself, and it actually states this within Fizban's that you can add certain features to your dragons to make them more unique. But I feel that these two items should automatically be a part of these two dragons in particular. I mean, the Elder Brain Dragon gets the siege monster property. It's gargantuan, but it isn't able to utilize it properly because its brine breath deals psychic damage, which objects are immune to. While the Great Worm and the Ancient Dragon Turtle are able to utilize the siege monster property because that's how they are structured, but they don't have that feature. And also, it would be a lot more epic to see a dragon turtle grab one of these ships and just crush it in between its jaws, causing the crew to essentially be grappled and or swallowed by the dragon turtle. That's great. I would love to have seen that in the stat block. But I guess I need to take from the Great Worm stat block and just change it a little bit to make it fit with these two creatures. It's a little bit more work than I would have liked. Alright, I hope you enjoyed, viewers. Like I have put in the beginning of this video, this is more of a jokesy video. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I just wanted to put something out there. So I had another review of this book, because I love it. I love Fizban's Treasury of Dragons. And these were just some minor nitpicks. Very, very minor. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, this has been Drayhan, and I am offline.